and welcome to my channel. It's Rebecca, also known as 4Kids at 147, and I thought I'd do a little bit of a sort of tutorial maybe on how you can start a square diamond painting. So if you've been diamond painting either for a short time or for a while, sometimes if you've only been doing rounds, moving to squares can be a little bit of a challenge, a little bit different. There are a few different ways that you can help to get your squares to line up the way you want them to. So I thought I'd show you one or two of those today. And I'm going to start with my duck. Now, I tend to start in one of the bottom corners. I'm going to start on this one. It does have a couple of different colours in it, but it is a lot of white. Let me see how much I need to zoom you in. I think I might have to move my easel from the right hand side of my desk. I do. So bear with me while I take this out and shove it on the floor. It sort of tucks out of the viewing angle, but doesn't allow me to use the full side of the desk. So there we go. So we have the section that we're going to work on. Now, quite often with squares, the problem is getting them straight. It does take a little bit of practice, I'd say, to get to the point where you're putting your square diamonds down in sort of not on an angle. Because with rounds, there is no angles to compete with. It is just a matter of, it doesn't matter how you pick it up, you can just put it down. But with squares, it's a little bit different. So I'm going to tip some of my whites into my tray, give them a shake so that they line up, and the ones that don't want to line up can go in the corner. They can have another go later. So when you first get hold of a square diamond, quite often it is a matter of you twisting your pen to get it to go in the right place. And that is the bit that you get better with over time, but can sometimes frustrate people when they start with a square and getting it to work. So one tip that you can do is grab hold of some, bank cards or rulers or something. I'm going for cards because they tend to be in your purse, and sort of line them up so they are right near the edge. So you're giving yourself a solid-ish edge to work on. Doesn't work as well with the first one. Maybe rulers would be better. But you're giving yourself an edge to place your diamonds against. So when you get hold of a diamond now, you've got that card edge to stop you going any further, to flatten your diamond against. And then when you do the next one, you then have both the bottom edge of the card and you have the next diamond across to be able to line it up. So basically you can push into both of them. Now, sometimes with squares, if you have some really nice fitting squares, I like to overlap them a little bit or put them in on an angle and click them down into place. It's not so much doing it with this one. They are perfect fit, but it's not doing it. I don't know if it's the angle I'm on or what. But the idea is you get yourself a straight edge so that you can lean your diamonds against to get your first row straight. You can always use little straighteners on the end of your pen as well to sort of tuck in and push it down. So I tend to put it against the diamonds and then lift it up so it pushes against that edge, and it can sometimes nudge your diamonds just that little bit to get them to sit nice. And then you do the same across your next edge. So you're building up your sides using the card and using the diamond that you've already placed. This card may actually need to come in just a little bit more so that I'm inside that black edge. So I'll move that over just a little bit so that you can lay it over the top and then push it down, and you hear it click off the card and straighten up if you've put it over a little bit too much to one side. If you do put it a little bit too much over to the other side, then you can nudge it over when you put your next diamond in place. So once you've got yourself a nice little edge to work off, then what I quite often like to do is do it in steps. So I will push one into the corner, and then I will go one above and one below. So I'm creating myself a little set of steps with the diamonds, so I can then, I'm always then pushing into two sides, at least two sides of diamonds. Wax, this is a new tip on my pen, so the wax is pushing out a little bit. Let me get rid of the excess. I had to sort of overfill it because it was a new tip. It's not a new pen, I've had the pen for a while, but it was definitely a new tip. So sort of you basically then, yes, you may need to turn your pen a little bit to get your squares straight, or if you've got them straight in your tray, try just, you know, getting hold of the square and lifting it over without moving your pen, which should keep the squares at the right angle. And then push them into your little steps. Oh, I've dropped that one, so I'll pick it up again, turn my pen round so that it's at the right angle, and push in my square. And then you just build up the steps from there. If you have a painting that doesn't have a block of one colour similar to this, you may find that when you're first starting, it is best to maybe have a couple of trays and alternate between the colours. A lot of the time with squares, they do look amazing, and I think you do get better at placing the square in the right place over time, but it's not necessarily something, it's something that it will come to you and you will eventually realise it has. It just, you don't quite know how long that's going to take. One of the other things people like to do is do a checkerboard. So they're actually placing a diamond in a square that has nothing around it. So ignore that one at the bottom because we'd already done the bottom row. But the idea is that you take it a little bit slower and get them as close as you can to being in the right place. So let's do one a little bit off kinker. So I've done one a little bit at a weird angle. I don't think I can zoom, oh, wrong way. Am I on full zoom? No, I am now. Okay. So I've done one at a little bit of a weird angle on purpose. Then I'll do another one, just not quite straight enough, but the aim is to get them as straight as you possibly can when you do a checkerboard. And you go up doing every other diamond so that you end up with a gap in the middle for another diamond. So if I do a few more of these, a few more in sort of this little block here, so you're doing every other diamond until you get a checkerboard. And then when you fill in the gaps and push that next diamond into it, it can help to straighten the diamonds that maybe got placed a little bit out of whack. So I'm going to build these up. Quite often you can often get a nice click when you do this as well. Depends on the diamonds and how close they are. But if I go all the way around this one now, so I got a click then, because what the diamond that I've placed there has done is pushed the next one into alignment because it was a little bit off. So I've got another one here that's a little bit off, so it'll get pushed in a little bit at the bottom with this diamond, a little bit at the top with this one, and hopefully this one above it will straighten it up. I like sometimes doing the checkerboard. Oh, that doesn't need to be on its side. I like to do the checkerboard sometimes just to vary things up. And what I'll do is I'll go in a diagonal line and I'll bounce about my little bit of space. Just varies place, especially when it's the same colour. It can vary it up a little bit. But to be honest, I do prefer the finish and the niceness when you do the step. I don't find there's as many gaps as there is when I do checkerboard. I find doing steps tend to sit a lot nicer. But both ways can work. And don't forget, even though you can see those little gaps, here more so where I've done the checkerboard, don't forget that you're looking at it closely. When you zoom out or when you step back, which you need to with a diamond painting, it just looks white. And that's what it's supposed to be. So don't be too hard on yourself on how it's worked. But this edge can often be the hardest part to start. So I do recommend that you get yourself a ruler, a card out of your purse. Don't get the one that you use every time you go to the shop, because you'll end up going to the shop and leaving it on your diamond painting. And just help yourself to get that nice solid line. Even if I do a checkerboard, even if I'm doing a big block and I decide I want to do a checkerboard, I still do this big line in full because I like to have myself a border. I don't have to use a card now to help me to keep it straight because I've been doing squares for so long, but it is a great help whether you use a card or not, whether you need to or not, to just get yourself that nice straight line, which you will see more if it is a little bit off. You will see it more around the edges of your painting than you will in the middle. So get yourself a nice straight line, and then sometimes I do just like to build on it in straight lines and not steps. So I'll just build up in straight lines, sometimes this way. See, that one went into a full diamond shape rather than a square shape. And when you go down to the painting with your pen and with your diamond, go down a little bit slower, and then you will have time to adjust before it sticks harder into the glue. Occasionally I have had a diamond that I have placed completely out of whack on the painting, and no matter of nudging, it will not sort of straighten itself up. In that case, I have been known to just get a hold of a pair of tweezers and take the diamond out and try again. It doesn't happen too often, but sometimes if you do get the odd one that just does not look right, take it out and try again. But I prefer even the lines from doing it straight. I don't find I see as many gaps as doing the checkerboard. So quite often you'll find me doing steps on a painting. And sometimes I'll do, so I'll build up a little step. So I'll build up a few steps in a painting, especially if I'm working on a block and I just want to vary it up a little bit. So if I build up another set of steps, and then sometimes what I'll do, just to change things up a little bit, is I will do a line. So I'll do a line going up in whatever size block that I've decided to work on. And I feel like then that I'm filling it up a little bit more, especially sometimes the steps can get like 20 different steps long, is I'll do a straight edge, then I'll do, get hold of it, then I'll do my little step, and I'll go all the way down to sort of, wherever the step ends, wherever it may be, and then I'll go across and I'll do a line going all the way across, and then I'll just repeat and keep doing my little step, just varying it up. Sometimes you can have a couple of little steps in there. So we'll do this other little step going down, and then I've hit a straight edge, so I'll go across and do a straight edge. It's all, I mean, it doesn't make any difference. Some people just prefer to, you know, work in one pattern going on the whole way. Other people like to vary it up. There is no right or wrong in relation to that. As long as you get the diamond on the square, you do it in the way that makes you feel good, makes you feel better. And then I like to have my diamonds closest to the painting that I can, so occasionally I'll shake a few more over in my tray so I can keep going across my line. And then if need be, you can pick up your card then, because it's a plastic of some sort, and then move it over. I think I'm lined up right there. Move it over and continue on. Don't do this with a piece of paper. Piece of paper definitely will stick to your glue, but a plastic ruler or a bank card or something like that, or a gift card in my case, not a gift card, sorry, a rewards card for Hobbycraft works wonders. If you've got some gift cards that maybe are stuck in your purse that you've used them up and you've just not got rid of them, maybe they'd be perfect, because that's something that you could keep hold of. And then once you've done your line, just build it up, either by doing steps or by doing another line. But with the steps, you do give yourself like a full, as long as you're giving yourself two edges to butt up against, then quite often it will make it a little bit easier for you. So I hope those couple of tricks have helped. You do what works for you. Some square diamond paintings, especially I do find the cheaper ones, can have a bit more of a gap around diamonds. And this may not work as well for that. But the likes of these higher quality ones, the diamonds are a true reflection of the square size. So therefore, working yourself in a line or in steps can work really well. And if you want to vary it up, do try the checkerboard, but do make sure that you take the initial checkerboard a lot slower, and then you can go a lot quicker when you fill in all the gaps. And before you know it, you will have mastered squares, and you will be doing your edges without cards, and you will be able to take a square diamond and automatically place it somewhere else on the painting. You could always test yourself and give yourself a little go, but you do need to do it a little bit slower than rounds, and just pay attention to your diamond being straight. But yeah, and when it comes to things that are a lot more varied, of course, you may find that it's a little bit harder to be able to do steps if you've got multiple different colours in there. So try and pick the colour that's got the most diamonds on your painting first, and then these little holes that will be left for these colours and for these, you will be able to fill them in using the white ones that you've already done. I hope that's helpful for some of you. I have mentioned it in other whipping chats when I've been doing squares, and people have said it's helped, so I thought I would make a visual, full video just on working with squares, and actually bring in, the cards to use to give yourself a straight edge. You can do it on the whole painting if you wanted to, but I do find that as long as you do it on this first part, then your actual painting itself will become your ruler for the rest, and you can then do it in straight lines using the diamonds you've already placed. And then once you're done, you remove these, and you've got yourself some straight edges. This one's a little bit more off. I think my card was a little bit, it's not quite covering the black, but these little straighteners on the end of the pen can help you to nudge them up or nudge them down, depending on how you want to do it. But these little plastic straighteners, I do use these all the time. Every time I think it's a little bit off, they will sort of go in between diamonds if you need to nudge a little row down. But don't be too critical on yourself, because even though I can see that that's a little bit more out of sync because of the thick black line, when you move it back and it's been finished, you will not see those gaps. They don't become anywhere near as much apparent as when you're working over it. So anyway, thank you so much for watching today, and I'll speak to you all again soon.